about multicultural everything, literature, arts. So there is such a rich heritage in multicultural literature.
As our society becomes increasingly diverse, it's become much more apparent that we need to build curriculum that really honors difference and diversity.
When we talk multicultural literature, we're talking about people's experiences, their lives, and in order to understand their lives, you have to understand their history.
Literature helps us cross borders and build community, and it is when we hear many different kinds of voices that happens.
The expanding canon will introduce you to many different kinds of voices.
Day breaks, got the shakes, joint dripping, mind slipping.
Forward and backward, they lead me through alleyways smelling of fish and oranges.
Railroad Bill was a worse old coon, killed McMillan by the light of the moon. Was looking for Railroad Bill.
You will be immersed in the rich literature of African American, Asian American, Latino, and Native American writers.
Heal again, raise his radiant
New York, harbor of hope, swept to this big puzzle town.
Teachers from around the country will demonstrate innovative strategies for engaging high school students in these multicultural works.
You are Nisei, despite the fact that you are an American citizen.
This series will explore 4 pedagogical approaches and the ways in which these approaches might overlap.
Chief of the Salmon tribe, if you would walk up.
You will meet authors, scholars, teachers, students, and community members inside and outside of the classroom who will serve as guides to their literature and culture.
If we are going to change stuff, it's going to be changed by us.
You'll discover that the expanding canon includes literature that reflects the diversity that is America.
Good job.
Session 1 features the reader response approach to teaching and learning. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, Alfredo Lujan and his students explore the poetry of Pat Mora. Inspired by Mora, the students create and present their own poetry. Greg Hurst's students on the Fort Peck Indian Reservation respond to James Welch's literature about contemporary Native American realities through a series of reading and writing activities.
I'm Alfredo Lujan. I teach at Monte del Sol School in Santa Fe. I've taught in northern New Mexico for close to 30 years. This is a charter school, and it's a 7th, 8th, and 9th grade school right now, but it eventually will be a 7th to 12th school. I teach with a lot of emphasis on writing, so I guess you could say it's a literature-based writing course.
One of the important things about this text, as far as I'm concerned, well, you have your own opinions, so you express them whenever you're ready. But it's a book about identity. And a clue to that, of course, is the title, My Own True Name. I think it's really saying that in this age, sort of like your existential moment is unfolding, and you find your own identity. Sometimes we find it in our reading. So if we go back to our statement up here, readers make writers, writers make readers, all right? What I want you to do is spend some time, we're going to do sustained silent reading, okay? Take time and find some poetry in here that you might engage in, that you like, all right? And then as you're doing that, try to pick out a favorite line, okay? Or a favorite concrete object of some sort and hinge onto it.
Reader response theory asserts the importance of a reader's personal response. All readers bring knowledge and experience that in one way or another relates to the reading. While this approach liberates the students from a right versus a wrong answer or reading, when reading cross-culturally, it's crucial for teachers and students to reflect upon, interrogate, and extend understanding beyond personal response through questioning, conversation, and wider reading.
Okay, now, as you know from many of our reading activities, we've used the term jump out. Sometimes text jumps out at you for whatever reason, all right? Or it tickles you, all right? A word tickles you, a piece of text tickles you, whatever, all right? What I'd like to know now is your true name, the way you like it said, first name, middle name if you like it, whatever, your own true name, your own true identity, and then your favorite line, and why, just briefly, so we can all, get a chance at speaking, all right? I think we'll start with this table.
My name is Isabel Winston-Sagan, and my favorite line is from the poem Now and Then America, and it's in step, in style, insane, and I like that because it's saying, like, if you're sort of in the flow, like you're in step with everything, it's insane. The poem is sort of talking about being free and not being in the flow, so I just like the way that it was phrased.
My name is Justin Van Dyke, and my favorite line was, peers into the mirror, and frowns too, and it's from the poem Same Song. And I thought that was cool because no matter how hard the person in the poem tries, they can't make themselves look the way they want to look. They'll just always look the same, so I just thought that was cool.
Pat Mora is a writer that has united many different populations, but of course the most important ones are the young people and the older people. My Own True Name is a book that takes a selection of works from all of her books and provides some new poems that she thinks particularly speak to young people. And she has particularly spoken to young people of high school age through her diction, through the themes that she touches upon, and through her insistence in the idea that young people have a culture and they have an ability to see the world and be able to capture it. She wants to go one step further and encourage them to write. Particularly in My Own True Name, she addresses this.
My favorite line was in the introduction to this book. It says, "We write often, we don't just talk about writing." And I found that interesting because the same day I turned in an assignment about exactly the same thing.
I'm Jesse Bartlett, and my favorite line was from Elena, and it was, "For if I stop trying, I will be deaf for when my children need my help." And I really like that because it shows that she cares for her children and wants to learn English so that she can communicate with her children.
I'm Pierre Hofstra, and I like the line from the poem No Substitutes. I'm trapped in a pack of imbeciles. And I liked that line because it explains how everybody feels sometimes.
My Own True Name as a title was very attractive to me because the poems in the book have many issues in terms of identity. I thought I'd start with that activity simply to connect deeper with the book and with the author and with themselves. For me, sometimes it's an equity issue. If you're having a large group discussion or a small group discussion, the more expressive students will take over, and the more quiet students stay in the background. And you sort of have to draw them out, somehow, without putting pressure on them. And if I limit it, keep it within 30 seconds, keep it within 1 minute, then we don't have the student who talks for 5 minutes and the student who talks for 2 seconds.
The line that was most interesting to me was from the poem Immigrants, and it is, "Wrap their babies in the American flag." I like that because to me it means that the immigrant was trying to bring their children from the cold of their country into the warmth of America.
When students engage in responses to literature, they respond to it either by speaking, by discussing, by writing, and then I respond to their responses, and it connects us to the literature. So using strategies of reader response, listener response, speaker response, anything like that creates an authentic dialogue.
My name is Maria de Los Angeles Frech, and in the poem El desierto es mi madre, I like the line that it says, "Le digo, juguetea conmigo, me salpica la cara con gotas de lluvia en un día soleado." It means like it's teasing her because you know that in the desert we don't have water, so it's like teasing her. And in English it means I say tease me. She sprinkles raindrops in my face on a sunny day.
That's good, Maria. It's much richer when voices come in that are either Spanish or, it can be any language. We have students who are Jewish and they write about their Jewish heritage, and we have Tibetan students and they talk about their homeland.
So what I'd like to do now, okay, is come up with some poems that we want to focus on in small groups, okay?
Silence like cool sand.
Graduation morning.
The desert is my mother.
Somebody who can read the Spanish to me.
When we began to discuss the poems and sort of focusing on a poem that they wanted to take apart, that's student-driven rather than teacher-driven, they select the poem they want.
We're going to focus on these for a little while, okay? And one of the things we've talked about here is that we read at multiple levels. Sometimes we read something and it's just literal, right? Like if you read the instructions on how to assemble a bicycle, okay, you don't interpret those instructions to mean that you put wings on it and try to fly with it, right? So, I mean, there's no interpretation in that. It's just literal. And then sometimes we read and we do sort of, our minds start operating and you start interpreting things. And then sometimes that means something like what you were saying about the cool sand, I think, the other day. When you were saying, you know, it reminds me of that rafting trip, you know, that we took with my family. And so all of a sudden, it's not just reading, it's connecting your life to the reading. And either the poem or the book or whatever it is took us to that experience in our life that makes it applied reading, or we brought that experience with us to the reading. So you're going to talk about these poems. Maybe one person can sort of run the little group and talk about each poem in terms of how the words are just literal, okay? And then maybe how they can be interpreted, okay? So literal, interpretive, and applied. That's your task. Talk about those things, discuss them with each other, and then we'll report back to the larger group. Okay?
Okay, so what do you think the interpret level is?
There's a line right here. It's the line, I think it's the fourth one. It says, I say hold me, she whispers lie in my arms. And that could really be interpreted as anything. You could lie just like in a person.
She's probably like sad or either happy and she just wants to hug her mom too, or whoever it is, to feel better.
Yeah.
The next line talks about healing, like peppermint and stuff. So maybe that means sort of lie in my arms as a healing thing.
Yeah, maybe she's sad and she just wants to be held, and then they, like you said, I say heal me, so maybe she'd want to be held so that she could feel better. Maybe she's sick or something, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole poem is sort of like the desert's like a mother, it takes care of you.
Mm-hmm. And it really could be interpreted for any person in the poem.